Hi, welcome to the next episode of the Code of Deity series. My name is Kaushik and I'm one of the co-founders of the Code World. So for today's video, what we'll do is we'll create a small script, Python script for creating an invoice. Before going into that, I'd like to take you to the other playlist that we have in our channel, the MVP series that we do, where we extensively talk on and off about everything related to MVP. The ARTBOARD series, where we do everything related to design and the creative minds that everyone can expect. Last but not least, we have the Code of Duty series, where we do everything related to tech over there. So go check them out. The links will be available in the description below. Let's get started. All right, to begin with, let's show you what you can expect today. And I have already created the one of the script, and it looks like this. So this is the final output that you will be getting for any kind of invoice that you want to create. You'll have your logo, you'll have your from address to address, tax registration numbers, invoice details like invoice number, dates, and everything. And of course, last but not the least, you'll also have the items that you want to put up in your invoices. Okay, it will calculate everything that you need from this, and after this, it will create a PDF file for you. All right. Before diving deep into the code base, what I would expect from every Python developers is that they create their own virtual environments for every project that they do. All right. So I generally use Sublime to create to have I generally use Sublime as a text editor for any kind of project that I do, and this is the structure that I have chosen for this project. Okay, so I have kept my assets, which is the logo that I will be using in this particular script. I've created my virtual environment A and B under this, and of course, this one is fonts that we will use up in the script. And this output folder, you do not have to create it; the script will create it for you. All right. So we have one script which is already doing the same thing. I'll go over it step by step and take you through the entire process of it. There's one library that we will use extensively. It's called Report Lab. All right, so it's a very useful library, an open source library of Python, and everything you need related to PDF scripting with Python. Right, you can expect to do it with Report Lab very efficiently. We will start building these two segments: the logo part and the invoice part. All right, so yeah, there's one more thing that I would also like to refer here is the origin of the PDF page. Right, in Report Lab, the origin of the PDF page is mentioned on the bottom left corner of your page. Let's get started. Let's start importing the things that we will need for this. All right, so we will need the A4 size. We'll also use millimeters dimensions. Okay, so we will do from Report Lab. I have already installed Report Lab, so I'll already be getting it from this. If you want to see what all libraries that I have currently in this environment, this Report Lab and Pillow is only available. Okay, so install these two libraries. Make sure to install. So we'll start importing the items that we'll need for this. So from Python, Report Lab library dot page sizes, we will use A4. Then from units, we will need from Report Lab units. We will need to import the millimeter, and then finally we'll need the canvas that we will write this on. Okay, so canvas will import the canvas itself. Okay. All right, and there's one more thing that we'll need for this. Like we'll import the colors as well for this. So everything like the grid colors and everything we'll need to set out from colors. We'll import the colors from this as well. Okay, so from Report Lab dot library, I think we'll get the colors. Okay. All right. The other things will come to it later on. One of the structure that I like to follow is basically create methods on top of it, and call your methods from the main function that you generate. Okay, so before going into that, what we can do is we can create the main function over here. Let's say we do main equals to, and we'll call the main function over here. Okay. So, and also I like to be pretty much detailed with the comments that we generally write. So what we'll do is we'll write a small comment for this, which will be this main function that will be called right. So we'll create this over here. We'll write everything that we need to put up over here. So this is a base structure. Like the next thing that we'll do is we will try to create the output folder if it is not available over here. Okay, if the output is not available in this inside this invoice directory itself, we'll create this, and what we'll do is for this we'll need to import OS. We need to import pathlib, and I think that too will do. So what we'll do is we'll also create assets folder, even though it is available, but we'll still create it. Assets and output folder folders. Alright, so what we'll do is we'll set out the current path, which is on pathlib dot. We need to do path of this file, current file. This will give you the current file, alright, and the parent of it will be giving me the base directory of it, and we'll get the absolute value for it. Okay. Yeah, this will particularly give me the current path. If at any point of time you are not sure, right, what you can do is you can go to your shell and check it out over here, right? So let's say, for example, this current file, instead of this file itself, we do exclusively give this file name itself. Okay, so what we can do is, like, let's say, for example, this is there, and we can check it out. The file that we have, let's say we do it for create invoice. Okay, it is on the same level of the directory, and what we can do is we can say simple. Alright, I'm just trying it out. I hope it works. So we have this, but then we need to do the parent dot absolute. Yeah. So as you can see, it gives us the absolute value of that path itself inside the until this point. Okay. So this is one of the very cool. This is very helpful. Other than this, there's IPython that you can install. We can do this right over here. Okay, we can do this right over here. And it's an interactive Python shell that you can generate, okay, that you can get. So if you need it at any point of time, just install it. It's really awesome. You'll have quite a lot of history of the commands that you've already generated earlier, and quite a lot of other useful features as well. Okay, so this is there. Then okay, let it create it. It will take some time. What we'll do is we'll create the other folders. Basically, if not present, what we'll do is, let's say we do output folder equals to os.path join. We can create it with the current path, and then we will set it out as output. Alright. So this is something we have just named it. Now we'll check if that is not available. We will create it for you. Alright. So similarly, we will also create the asset folder as well. Alright. And now we'll check if both of them are available. So if not of os.path.exists, we will simply create that for you. Alright. So that would be os.make directory. Yeah. make directory, and that would be output folder, right? So yeah, so there might be bugs a little bit while doing so. We'll clear it out as accordingly for this. Okay, so this is something that I also follow. I try to keep my convention with Pep8, and also I like to follow spacing rules of indentation. Alright, so we'll do do the same thing for the assets folder as well. So what this will do is it will check if the folder exists or not. If not, it will simply create those folders for you. Okay. Alright, so after this, let's set out the fonts that I talked about earlier. Set out the fonts. Independent. Okay. So the reason of keeping the fonts over here inside the directory is to keep this independent of the OS at all, right? So we have a lot of time we have seen that making Arial, a lot of fonts are available on all the OS, but we still like to use some sort of a font that is that fits professional criteria on each of the OS that are available, right? So to remove the dependency on OS, we will be creating the font. We will be keeping the fonts right in the directory itself, and we'll be calling it out when we set it out. All right. So you can see we have like Helvetica bold and everything. What we'll just use is from this, we'll just use Helvetica bold and Helvetica. Okay, this is the regular one, and this is the bold one. We'll just use these two, and if at any point of time you'll need any other fonts, you can just call it out and set it out, and accordingly you will be able to set up your text according to that. Okay, so let's do this. What we can do is we can call up regular font file equals to os.path.join, and what we'll do is we'll put up it as current path. We already have the current path over here, and we'll put up fonts for this. Okay. As Helvetica, I think Helvetica.ttf. Yeah. All right. Similarly, we'll also do the bold font and the current path fonts. The folder is fonts inside this fonts, and then it is going to the next part. So this join basically creates the entire path for you. It joins the path inside the directory for you as well. Okay. If I go inside this, yeah, I think this is the one. We just need this. Now we need to register this fonts with this PDF matrix. Okay. So before that, we'll have to import the PDF matrix for us. And what we'll do is from report lab PDF base import PDF matrix. I think PDF matrix. Yeah, that would do. So we have this PDF matrix dot register font. Okay, so this is the method that you need, and you can use the TTF font for this. And we'll just register this according to the names that we want to call it out for. If you set out ABC and link it to this, you can call ABC font and set out your text according to the font that you need for ABC. Okay, so we'll just call it according to the regular conventional file name that we generally like to call. And we'll also register the Helvetica bold font on this. Okay, so we have bold font line. Okay, so that's how you have already registered both of them. At this point of time, you do not need to call anything for this. Now let's start defining the headers that are needed for this. Okay, so let's set it up. Let's define the header that we need. Create header, and what all things that we want to give over here is we will be needing the canvas. Okay, we will do the entire thing on a canvas, right? So we will be needing the canvas, we'll pass the canvas into each of the directory, and we'll set it out according to that. So we'll pass the canvas into this, but before going there, I think it would be important to initiate the canvas and show you what are we expecting on this particular method. Okay, so let's initiate the canvas first. What we'll do is we are trying to invoke a PDF file. We are trying to open a PDF file, and we'll create a canvas for around this PDF file itself. Okay, so to give it a unique name for every invoice that you get, what I would do is I'll also put up the timestamp into this. Okay, so what we'll do is for this we will need the datetime library. Okay, so just import datetime, and we'll get the datetime over here, right? All right, so we'll get this datetime string over here. So what we'll do is we'll get the current date time, which will be, and we will take it as a export this in this form. So what we'll do is we'll take month, date, year, and hours, minutes, and seconds. Okay, so I have already written this. I'll just paste it directly on this. So this will imply the month, this will imply the date, the year, the hour, the minutes, and the seconds for this. Okay, so after this, what we'll do is we'll get the output file name for this. Okay, and what we can do is we can create it something like, let's say, invoice, and we will keep up the the invoice number, and that will, then we can keep up the date time string on this, and then this will be, the extension will be covered with videos. Okay, so the form, we need this first parameter that we need is the invoice number. Okay, so let's say for example we are getting this invoice number. We will be getting it as an input variable, but for now I'm just keeping it as a simple string over here. Okay, so let's say paste it again, 2021 101. Okay, so we'll put up the invoice number on this first, and the second argument that we'll take is the now object, the now string. Okay, so this is our output file name that it will be generated. Once we have this, we need to get the output file path for this. So what we'll do is output file path. Let's say for example we do this, and the output file path is basically we'll get it by joining it, just like how we did for this. Okay, so os.path.join, and what we'll do is current path, output, and then we'll put up the output file name. Okay, this will give us the exact file path where it needs to be saved. Okay, after this we'll start a canvas with this. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll create a canvas. We have already imported canvas over here, so this needs to be capital C. Okay, we have already imported canvas over here, and what we'll create the canvas like this. We need to give the file path, output file path, and we will give the size that we need for this. Okay, so let's we will be using A4 sizes for this. So I'm just going to use A4 that we have already imported over here. Okay, so you can use other page sizes as well as you need, but you'll need to figure out the exact points, the exact coordinates that will be actually needed. That will be actually needed to denote all of this in their correct positions. Okay, so let's start this by defining the header section, like this particular part, the logo and the invoice that will be written on the center of the page. Okay, what we'll do is we'll need the XY coordinate for this. Okay, we'll also need the file name for this. Okay, basically do we need the file name? Yeah, we do need the file name. Basically the logo file name that will be generated for this. Okay, we'll give the file name. We'll also give the width and the height that needs to be set out for this logo. Okay, so let's do this. We'll take up canvas. Okay, we'll use file name. We'll use the x coordinate that will be needed for this. We'll use the y coordinate that is be needed for this. Okay, we'll also use width which will be needed for this, and the height of the logo that we will set it out. Okay, and this method I have already commented. I have a script already prepared for this, so I'll just copy the entire function for you. Okay, so I'll explain you the function that I've already written for this. So this is basically the entire function. What it takes is it takes on all these properties that I've already mentioned. The first thing that it does is it creates the logo file. It creates the path of the logo that we'll be feeding. Okay, and this line number 35 will basically create that logo for you inside the canvas. Okay, so this draw in line image that basically takes up the file path. It takes the XY coordinate and the width and height of the image. Okay, you just set it out, it will create it inside your canvas. Okay, so this is already there, and as I have already spoken earlier about the font that you will be keeping it in, right? Every time you set the font, the next thing that you write will be according to that font itself inside the canvas. Okay, so here we want to do this part in bold, right? So we have taken in the Helvetica bold, and we have set out the string that will be so this is the string coordinate where it will start from. Okay, so we have set out the string coordinate over here. In fact, we should give it a better naming for this. Invoice string x coordinate. Okay, and we'll use this inside this. Okay, so every time you want to write a text inside a canvas, you use the method called drawString for this. Okay, this drawString is basically taking up the half of the page. Okay, A40 will give you the x-axis of the page itself, like the width of the page. So we have divided it by 2, and we are just taking out 20 millimeters left on the left hand side. Okay, this can be figured out in other intuitive manners as well, like you can justify it and all. But this was a quick tutorial, so I've just taken it out in terms of point basis. Okay, there are other way of doing this, doing the entire thing instead of canvas. You can use flowables and everything for this. So each of the elements will be taken as a row wise, and you can create it for those as well. Okay. Okay. So once that is done, we will set the canvas font to the regular font that we'll need, that we'll use for other places as well. Okay. So this is there. After this, what we'll do is we'll just simply call it from here, and we can then just a second. So this is returning canvas, right? So we will get the canvas from this, and we will create header for this. Okay. What do we need to pass? We need to pass the canvas. We need to pass the file name, which is the logo file name, right? So what do we have? We have tcw logo underscore tcw logo.png, right? tcw underscore logo.png. We have passed the file name for this. We need to pass the x coordinate for this, from where it will begin, where this thing will begin. So what we have done is I've taken everything from a 20 millimeters distance from the 0th position. Okay, so this will be set out to 20 millimeters. The y coordinate is basically what I've taken is the entire length of the page is A4, first index of the A4, right? Like the A41 is how you can call it out. Okay, so what you can do is this is the entire length, and we want to give around 30 millimeters bottom from the top of the page. Okay, so we'll simply do this part like this. Okay, So we have our x coordinate and y coordinate for this, and we will set out the width and height of the logo as well. Okay, so I believe we have width first. Yeah, so we'll set out as 30 millimeters for the width and 10 millimeters for the height on this. Okay, so if we just save this, you'll see like we have already created a small PDF file with the logo and the invoice written on it. Okay, so yeah, in fact that IPython is also created. But let's try to generate that. So this is Python generate.invoice. Okay, so TTF font is not defined. Let's see what's happened. TTF font, I think we'll need to import TTF font from PDF base itself. Just a second. This is, yeah, so we need to import TTF font from PDF base TTF fonts. Okay, and I have misspelled it somewhere in line 54. So let's get it on. This needs to be page size. Okay. Yep. So it has generated one PDF for you. So let's check it out. Okay. So as you can see, we have printed the logo and the invoice part over here. All right. I have already created out the script. So I'm just going to copy paste this parts. From address, to address, tax registration number, and then we have the invoice details here as well. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is filling up the items over here. Okay, now this items we will keep it as dynamic later on. We will feed it as on a loop, but for the time being, let's create a static data point for this. Okay, we will use Python, report labs table method for this. So we'll just import those things. We will also need the table style to define basically all the grids, all the colors, and all of that. We'll need that. So we'll define table. We'll import table and table style from report lab let first. Okay. So this is there, and I think we have already imported colors. Okay, yeah. So let's set out the table. All right. So open there. I'll set out the method that I have already created. Okay. So this is basically, this will create the items that will be needed for each of the tables. this table itself. Okay, only this table. Now here what we are doing is we are taking the data. The data I'll show you by calling it how you need to pass it. You will basically pass a list of list into this. This is calls with basically defining how much the space should be for each of the column that you have for the table. Okay, so I've taken it as 35 mm, which roughly gives me this value, which is fair enough. Okay, and these things you can experiment on your own, like what should be the column width. You can in fact change the column width for like you can make custom width for different columns as well. Okay, then we have set out the styling of the table. Okay, so we align. What it does is it basically tells you where the text part should be in terms of vertical alignment. Okay, so we have given it as middle, so that's why it's printing out in the middle part. If we would have given top, it would have been aligned more towards the top of the cell itself. Okay, then we'll have align, which is a general text alignment horizontally. So we have set it out as left. Everything is coming up down as a left alignment. Okay, we have set out inner grid as well. These are coordinates basically where start cell and end cell basically that you provide over here. Okay, we have set out the grid that we'll need. These are the inner grid. Okay, so everything that is coming inside this, this is we have defined it as black color with a 0.25 I think opacity. Okay, opacity or basically the width of the line. Okay, now we have set up box as well. This will give you the outer box of the table. Okay, and this part you can see that we have only set out set out the cell as the starting cell and the first row of the ending cell of the first row. Okay, we have set it out as a bold font. So this, if you look closer into this part is basically bolder, right? So we have set it out in the table styling itself. Okay, and last but not the least, we have set out the background of the first row to one of the hash code of what we are using. Okay, you can set out your own hash codes in this if you need different color on your table cell. All right. After that, we have got a height that will return after this in order to get what should be the next position of this invoice summary. Okay, so we are getting this as the length of the data in so we'll have this data in a list format. Okay, the data type of this data will be list. Okay, we'll get a particular height for this and we'll return this over here. Okay, the next two lines are very important for tables in report lab. So once you have your data and everything set out in the table, you need to wrap a position inside your page where your table can be placed. Okay, so as you can see, we have wrap on. We have made the so it needs to be wrapped on the canvas, right? We have passed this on. We have set out the width as the entire width that it can set it up for. If we would have given, let's say for example, A40 on the width portion. So even if we did draw on the entire thing, right, only this part would have shown. Okay, so we need to set out the wrap on should be more than what we actually draw. Okay, so this will be there, and A40 will be the coordinate not coordinate. This is the width that will be available for the table. Okay, similarly, Y coordinate will be passed on for how much where it should start wrapping. Okay, and similarly we are drawing the object into this particular coordinate, X coordinate and Y coordinate, that will pass into this, and it will print. It will basically fill the information according to this. Okay, this data, I'm showing you the data next. So we will need to set up the data in this, which will be coming up as create items, right? So we need to set out this. Okay, so after the invoice details, we need to set this up. So let's say, for example, we are passing item data as a data object, and we have just chose this header, and the data that it might come on, it might be looking like this. Okay, so right, so let's start generating this PDF. Right, my entire PDF is complete. Okay, my entire PDF got generated. Right, so these are put up mostly with the static thing. I have made it into dynamic scripting as well. So I'll just copy the entire code. It is similar to this. Instead of just taking those static data, I will be replacing it with the dynamic data itself. Okay, so I'll show you what we are doing with this. So I have the entire script over here now. Okay, it has taken everything that we need. We have create items, create total, and everything. And here, if you see, this has been replaced. Okay, so the invoice number we are taking it dynamically. The invoice from name, we're taking it dynamically. Sorry, this is not from name. This is basically the date that will be needed for the invoice, and the end date of the invoice as well. Okay, and regarding the addresses, we are taking it differently. For all the from address that will be needed, all the to address that will be needed. Your tax registration, we are taking as an input, and the number of items that you want to generate. According to that, like let's say for example, if you need to put 3 items, you can do it over here. You can say you need 3 items, and it will take you all the information that are needed for those 3 items. All right, so give you a little bit of demo into this. Let's build it up. Okay, so what's the enter the invoice name number that you need. So what we'll do is, let's say we set it out WCW2021001. All right. So if you think that's a different, if it's not a different one, look out on this. We have 101. So we are setting out with this. The start date of the invoice that you need. Okay. The example format is also shown here. So let's say we are taking June 01, and we have 2021. Now it is asking for your end date. We will take it as June 30th, 2021. And now it has started taking your from address that you will put up over here. Okay. So first, it's asking me about the company or the individual name that you want to raise this invoice from, right? So let's say we gave it as the code work. The address lines that are needed for this, let's say we give it as ABC Street, North, and the address line 2 will give Kolkata, India, and the country code we will give it as India, IN. Okay, for individual for now this is the part where you'll give the information for whom you are raising. Okay, so let's say for example the company is General Company INC. Okay, the address line 1, anything, put out any address line that you need on this. Okay, and let's say it's Florida. Okay, now the next thing that you'll need is your tax registration number. What is the tax registration number that you need to set it out in your invoice? So I'll do that tax 123 123 or 123 321. Yeah, why not? Enter the number of items you want to input. So let's say for example I've already shown you with 2 items, right? So let's build it out for a 3 item. Now enter the details for the first item over here. Now, what is the item name or the description that you have set out for this? So let's say it is development. Okay. What is the hours that you have put up for this? Let's say we have put up 10 hours. And what is the rate of each of the what is the rate of your service for this? Okay. So let's say we have around 600 for this. Okay. And what is the tax that you have that you need to apply for this particular item? Okay, so we have around 80% of GST over here, so I'll just put it out as 18 and it will calculate. Similarly, we will do the other parts as well. Put out the name as design, the quantity as, let's say, or quantity or the hours, let's say we have put out 5 hours, the design rate maybe 500, and of course we have, let's say we give a different tax rate for this also. Okay. And lastly we have product, let's say product. Okay. The hours needed for this was, let's say 20 hours, the rate maybe 1000, and the tax rate, let's again do it with the 18% tax. Okay. So now it has taken all your inputs and it has created a new PDF for you. Okay. So check this out. You have your new invoice script available to you. Right? Pretty smooth, right? It will calculate all the values that you have put up over here, and accordingly it will feed in everything in the invoice summary and the subtotal part as well. Right? Pretty neat, right? So if you want to use this for your system, for your business, you can contact us. We can customize it more for you, and accordingly it would be very helpful. Like you can use this without internet as well. Okay, so yeah, that's about it. The entire script, we will put out the links of the entire script for this. There's another thing we have already put out as a front-end based generator. It's an invoice generator that we have in our invoices.thecodework.com. It's a simple tool. Everything is entirely available in the front-end side. You can use up the GUI for this. You can use it accordingly over here, and you can download it directly for this. Okay, so it's a cool JavaScript based invoice tool that we have already built up in our system. Okay, so you can check it out. If you like it, you can use this quick, easy tool as well. Hope this is really helpful for you. The links for this code base will be available in the description below. Check out our website, thecodework.com. You'll find extremely useful content for startups. We are startup enthusiasts. We love everything around startups. We are a startup ourselves. And do not forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. See you soon.